are potential husbands. These are supposed to be the fathers of tomorrow. If we are having to deal with these type of youths or men in the name of whatever, what type of families do you think we'll have tomorrow? And what will be the next generation? See where we're going. As our men die in search of food and source of livelihood, do you know how many widows are created in a day in Nigeria? How many fatherless children are created? Or how many children have had to grow up without their fathers or the father's guidance? In a proper indigenous African family, the mother is the compass for love and peace, while the father is the compass and a symbol of safety, protection, morality, standards, and principles. So what do you expect to get if this father is absent, either through untimely death, economic migration, aka Japa syndrome, with its associated forced separation and consequences, or even the often bitter and very messy divorces we see today? What do we expect to get? In our African societies today, most men are the breadwinners to many families, nuclear and extended. When one man is taken down, nothing less than 10 extended family members may be negatively impacted. And even sometimes, up to 20 to 50 destinies have to be redirected because they just lost the only man working to meet their needs. This is indeed a huge burden on our lives as a people. Yet, the current system of internal colonialism we run in Nigeria does not function to protect or preserve our men, or even the general lives and properties of the indigenous peoples. We don't have hospitals, our roads are death traps, and as terrible as things are, we do not have ambulances for emergencies, not even for accident victims. Nothing whatsoever to preserve life. Why terrorists and insecurities are killing the people from one side, lack of infrastructure and social amenities are killing from the other side. The life of an average Nigerian, whether male or female, is not preserved. It's not worth much. In most families, fathers and mothers are not even living together to raise their children properly. The number of desperate single mothers is rising by the day. If it is not via death, it will be via horrible and messy divorces from marriages and couples that had no business being together in the first place. Such marriages have made marriage look like a bad idea, a terrible one at that. Meanwhile, the reason we are having so much mismatched couples is because people are marrying for the wrong reasons. If it is not out of desperation to marry because of the pressure, maybe societal pressure and family pressures, it will be because people are looking for ATM card partners to cushion the effects of hunger and hardship in the country. The list is endless. Families and the society in general are under immense pressure and stress. Families that migrated for economic reasons often end in divorces or even death. In some families, Women have to travel abroad to give birth to their golden child or children so that they can become American citizens, Canadian citizens, or British citizens, and eventually help to file for the rest of the family members to pull them out of poverty and misery. By the time some of these women come back home, the dirty, ugly girl they picked from one interior village would have taken over their home and their husbands. A man that they once thought had class and certain moral standards and principles, only for them to find out that actually they're dealing with pig and not a prince. Meanwhile, their reason for looking out for a very ugly girl. Sorry that I'm using the word. Of course, nobody is ugly, but they try to look for a girl that will not have features that are attractive. And they forgot that you cannot give class to a classless man. And you cannot even manipulate a man into fidelity and loyalty. Those two have to come from the man's personal decision for himself and the love and the respect he has for his wife and his family. It's not as a result of manipulations. So I'm just telling us what average Nigerian family has to deal with because of the type of structure we are running, the type of structure, the internal colonial structure that we have put in place. So having painted all these pictures of where the type of families today that an average Nigerian child will have to grow in, the stress, the pressure, like things are not the way they're supposed to be. Are we then surprised that when lights went off at Ozoro community, men turned into beasts?
What do you mean there's a raping festival in Nigeria in 2026? On March 19, disturbing videos circulated online where women were violently dragged from bikes, their clothes ripped off by men, and all sorts of sexual activities forcefully performed on them, tagging it the raping festival. The festival is known as Unwamudu Festival, happening in Ozoro, Delta State, with claims that all women were advised to stay indoors during the festival, and if seen outdoors, they will be sexually assaulted.
Don't get to what happened alone. Any girl with a thief or the answer that is my way, then you look at like, what is what happening?
According to Eyewitness, this has never been the case with the Unwamudu Festival in Ozoro. Community head and chief organizer of the event had given the go-ahead for such atrocities to be performed.
So have you seen what we have to go through when a society is not properly structured? Of course, in such places, women, children, and other vulnerable communities or vulnerable groups are the ones that suffer most. Women are often blamed when things go wrong in the society. That is why it is important and critical for us to get Nigeria to function. We should be tired of the tales of woes coming out from different communities in that country. If it is not Fulani that is butchering and burning families in jars, it will be men and boys running loose on the streets of Ozoro with their third legs exposed. If we are not having to campaign against girl-child bride or early marriage, we have to campaign against female genital mutilation or cuttings. If we are not fighting against raping of girls and women, and sometimes to death, we have to be fighting against maybe some widowhood evil practices against widows.
Police took my number and they called me. They told me they found my sister dead in her room, and she was raped and strangled.
I took my time to investigate this Ozoro Festival something, and I couldn't realize that this thing actually happened. But before I continue with the talk, I'm going to say shame to the king of that village. Shame to the government of Delta State, and shame to the men of that community. Shame to all of you. Because if government cannot stop that, there should be men. There should be men. When we say they're around, there should be men standing to correct the stupid men. There should be men when we say they're around, when they see any man who go misbehave around the women. They're very shameful. And most typical men in that Ozoro community don't have the guts to fight for the vulnerable women. It's shameful. I can get when men were men. When men know that their responsibility is to protect children and women. But what we have now, are useless men. The only thing they want to do is to hurt women. Shame to the government, shame to the police, shame to anything. We get the authority to stop that nonsense, but they don't stop up. And if you be man for that community, and you know the fight for this thing to stop, or no gather reasonable men who go begin to fight something like this. When they start to call men, get out from there, you guys are not men.
Things are so terrible that some people, Africans, do not actually know that the maltreatment of women is not our culture. It's not African culture. No. That has never been the general culture of Africans or even Nigeria. Just like anywhere in the world, you have bad people and good people, bad families and good families, bad communities and good communities. But the sad thing is that when there is no structure, everyone is painted with that evil brush. So they say everyone is this, all these people are that. Not knowing that what is going on is that certain bad practices in some limited cultural village families or individuals are being spread as if they are general, as if everyone is doing it. Because according to the indigenous people of Igbo land, when the society is not structured, false leaders will emerge and they will begin to carry out malpractices and extend their evilness to everywhere. What is happening is there is no structure to hold people accountable. So before colonialism, we had women as community leaders, women who held communities and community leaders accountable. And I will give you examples. Queen Amina of Zaria was a woman, of course. Queen Idia from Edo, about women's protest of 1929. It was done by women. Moremi, Margaret Ebu, Mrs. Kuti, that's Fela's mom. A lot of women that we can't even mention. My grandmothers from either side, they were strong women. Our indigenous ethnic nationalities produced these powerful women. But for colonialism to thrive, we had to transition from our culture to something that we don't even understand or know how to operate. An evil and abominable system. Our traditional women institutions and societal systems and media that once helped to speak up, or they spoke for women, children, and vulnerable, have been destroyed, all in the name of copying foreign ill-fitted policies. Now we are wearing a garment that is not even ours in the name of culture and tradition. Tell me, what is culture and tradition when we have to strip women of their dignity and honor or violate them? That is simply not our culture. It's not. There's nothing to celebrate there, not a festival. By now we ought to know that there is nothing to celebrate if our people are not safe and protected. There is nothing to preserve in a practice that causes pain to the weak and the vulnerable members of the society. Call it Sharia, call it Ozoro, whatever you call it, it's simply not our culture. Our culture as indigenous peoples, especially the indigenous people of Igbo land, it's about preservation of life. That's why we call humans Madu, Mandu. That's the beauty of life. Equipping every member of the society to become a better version of themselves was our responsibility. Celebration of good behavior, not empowering criminals and enthroning evil people in the name of politics. This is our culture. This is our tradition. In ancient times, there were no gaps, no leadership gaps in our societies. Men, women, children, youths were properly engaged. Everyone knew his or her roles and responsibilities in the society. Families worked hard to maintain good behavior and preserve good names that they inherited from their parents and ancestors. Men and women were educated in our communities on how to behave, how to marry, how to treat another person's son or daughter, how to be a responsible mother, a responsible woman, and how to be a man indeed, a responsible and respectful man. In those days, children were taught what was expected of them. There were no leadership gaps. As men and women, we are molded into stepping into the roles of their fathers and mothers, into taking over and maintaining families and societal structures. We were not confused about our rules. Would we have this gender crisis? We didn't have it. Because people were molded from childhood. We knew our responsibilities. We knew the expectations from both our parents, family members, and the society. Nobody was confused as to what he or she should do or how they will behave in the society. So this is why Ninas have been calling on the indigenous peoples, the ethnic nationalities, to rise and take back their communities, take back their societies, begin to put back the things that their ancestors had, structures, family structures, societal structures, in your communities, in your towns. You do not need any foreign person to do that for you because the land belongs to you. These are your ancestral lands. Take charge and be responsible. Teach your children how they should behave. Teach every member of your community what you call right and what you call wrong. My people call it omenani. The do's and the don'ts. The things that we abhor in our land and communities. The things that we uphold. Ezia fakego, meaning good name is better than wealth. We chase after good names rather than chasing after wealth, ill-gotten wealth. So let's begin to rebuild what the enemy destroyed in our midst. Whether you call it Sharia, whether you call it Ozoro, whatever evil tradition that they have put on you, or that they have transformed the original tradition into an evil one. It is your responsibility to reject the evil one, reshape what you got from your ancestors. Of course, we know there are certain things. Like I said, in everywhere you have bad families, you have good families, you have bad people, good people. So if there are some that maybe due to lack of information, your ancestors or family members were doing what they shouldn't do, it's your responsibility to fix them right now. Because we have better information today. We know many things that they didn't know. Our ancestors in Africa, they tried. They didn't even have all the information that we have today, yet they did so much. But today, with our physics, chemistry, all the sciences that we have studied, we have not even performed up to what they were able to do without science. So please, it's time for us to arise and do what is expected of us. Thank you.
We can see the corruption dancing on the street. We can see the impunity singing aloud. We can see the infrastructural decay. We can see the electricity that is not there. We can see the roads that are not there. We can see the security that is, that has failed beyond redemption. You saw when Emeka Anyaoku said that even if you bring Angel Gabriel to come and manage Nigeria, that angel will fail because that constitution is the problem. Even the bad leadership we're talking about, it is that constitution that makes it impossible for any better quality of people to emerge.